Hey, my name's Maddie, and this video is about the perceptions we hold and what it looks like when we take a moment to reflect, not only on ourselves, but to a complete stranger. Each of my interviewees open their souls to me and I to them, and I would just like to give the biggest thank you to them for sharing their stories and giving me the smallest glimpse of what it means to be in their shoes. I started this interview with asking each interviewee what they believe are their defining characteristics.
My defining characteristics.
Defining characteristic. What defines me?
I think I have a very good sense of humour. My friends would say that about me. I also think I'm very... I think things like at my work, when other people would kind of walk away from other people, I would walk towards them, if that makes sense. Yeah, so maybe like empathetic or something like that. Yeah.
Defining characteristic. What defines me? Hardworking, very goal oriented, very driven to succeed. I'm really easygoing, and I try to balance being driven with always being easygoing. I mean, I have a professional career as an entertainer. It's really important that I'm perceived on stage as a really easygoing guy, and that's a big part of my on-stage persona, which is different to my off-stage persona. But yeah, so yeah.
To define myself, I think I'm very self-sufficient. Make up my own choices and go ahead with them. Very determined to finish something. Even though I'm 71 this year, I still like to challenge myself mentally and emotionally. Sometimes there's things I don't want to do, but I make myself do them because it's a challenge. I'm artistic, love my family, I live for my family. They're the most important things in my life. That's about it. I can only think of that. That's how I see myself.
What are you feeling a lot of lately?
Stress.
True.
I'm a full-time teacher at the moment. I'm a full-time musician, singer, songwriter. Heather's been back from Melbourne about 15 months now, and we embarked on a project 15 months ago to create a body of work for Heather that could elevate her as a singer, the singer-songwriter that she is. And that's taken a long time. We've written about 15 songs. We now have an international producer on board who really loves Heather's voice, and he's producing 5 songs for us as we speak. Yeah, so I can play one off my phone if you like. We've got one. We've done 1 out of the 5. So, look, if it wasn't for COVID-19, I'd be on top of what I've just told you. I'd also be doing 4 or 5 live shows a week. So COVID's actually been a welcome break for me in the sense that I'm not in clubs, pubs, taverns, singing 4 and 5 times a week, as well as teaching, as well as getting Heather's musical career together. Yeah. So probably not that stressed. I would be a lot more stressed if it was pre-COVID times. Yeah, so not totally stressed. It's actually been a bit of a bludge, to be honest. I'm used to going hard and working hard and long hours. I'm used to that. It's never been any different for me all my life. So, you know, for me, I only know 2 speeds, flat out or asleep in a chair. That's it.
What are you feeling a lot of lately?
I'm feeling very settled lately, and like I've been studying this subject at uni that is all about reflecting on yourself and who you are, and this idea of self-actualization, which is this like really cool idea that if everyone that's had an influence on you hadn't had an influence on you in a particular way, then you would become your true self, which is a very cool idea. But I think I'm finally moving towards self-actualization, which is pretty good. Yeah.
Do you go like back through kind of like defining moments that you think kind of have shaped you, or how do they kind of approach it?
Well, a lot of it's about, like, say, a baby's born and then their parents start defining that baby, like gender, and start defining what you should look like, what you should believe in, all of that kind of stuff. So the idea of self, there's a self-actualized self and there's a socialized self, and you go to school and you're told you have to stand in a line and all that kind of stuff, and maybe you don't want to stand in the line, maybe you want to stand out of the line. But it's that whole idea of you get socialized or molded by relationships and institutions into something, and then hopefully at some point you start deciding what you want to keep of that and what you don't want to keep.
What am I feeling a lot of lately? I would probably, I'm at a crossroads in my life, even it never changes. So you think of age and you think you get to a certain age where life's just going to be plain, simple, straightforward. It never ever is. Doesn't matter what age you are. And I'm a bit lost at the moment because I don't know what I want to do or where I want to go, or I'm lost because there's many things I could do. So many things I could do, and I've just got to sit down and make a choice and go, well, maybe I wanted to do because I've been a registered nurse, but I haven't done that for nearly 30 years. I thought I'd go and do an enrolled nurse course, which is a Tafe course, 18 months. Or do I want to go back to work where I'm intellectually being stimulated and doing something I really like? Or do I want to sit back and do polymer clay classes that people are asking me to do? People are asking me to teach art. I've got so many avenues, but I've got all these avenues and I'm just sitting.
So you're at the forks right now?
Yeah. So I'm just sitting there going, oh, I don't know which way I'll go. But it's wonderful to sit back and think, well, I've got so many things that I can do, but I've got to start deciding to do something about them. So that's where I'm at.
If you could give yourself, your past self, a piece of advice, what would it be and why?
What would it be? My advice to a young James Cheney would be stay true to your dreams. Work really hard, like really hard. Be as selfish as fuck and work as hard as you can, because that's the only way you'll get anywhere on this planet. And that's exactly what I've done in my life, every step of the way.
I stand by that.
Every step. I wasn't born here, Bronny. I was from a migrant family. We came with nothing, absolutely nothing. And I learnt really early from mum and dad that you want anything, you can get it. Australia's a great place to get it, but you're going to have to work for it. It's not going to be given to you. I had no one that was going to die and leave me $1 million. When I die, these kids will get $1 million. But I had no one that was going to leave me $1 million. So that advice to my young self would be, do exactly what you've done. Yeah.
If you could give your past self a piece of advice, what would it be and why?
Right, yes, okay. The advice I give myself is that I would like to have planned for my future financially better than I have done. That is my main thing. I can't think of anything else that I would change about my personality or myself. I like who I am. I just wish that I'd gone out and probably got help. The word thing I don't do is go out for help. And got myself a good financial advisor and worked out my life much earlier than I have done. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
And why is that?
Why is that? Oh, because now I find myself, even though I still like working, I now find myself that I still have some mortgage on my house. So I could lose my house if I don't. It's not a lot, but it's still some. But I could lose my house if I don't go back to work now to make more money to get that paid off quickly. Because I've enjoyed spending my money. I love it. I've travelled all over the world. I've used every bit of it.
How you want to use it?
In great enjoyment. I have, I've just enjoyed every bit of it. So it hasn't been that I haven't enjoyed it, but probably I could have had some wiser counsel on how to get myself to the end more comfortable.
Okay, what have you tolerated from people in the past that you no longer have any space for?
That's a good question. What have I tolerated? That's not a black and white question and there's no easy answer to that. That tolerance of people and the shit they present you with is, for me, constantly fluid. There's days when I'll tolerate so much shit you wouldn't believe it, and there's other days where I'll just go, fuck right off, I'm not interested. It's never the same, and it depends how I feel as to how much I tolerate. It's the best way I can explain it. It really is like that. There's days I'll walk into a classroom at my high school, and it happened today. There was a girl that was talking. I asked her to stop talking 3 times, and she still kept talking, ignoring me. I just went mental at her and moved her to the back of the room and screamed at her and grabbed her bag and said, move now, you've been told 3 times, sick to death of you. On another day, I would just simply say, oh, Fatima, stop talking, and I wouldn't worry about it. Today, I lost it at her. Like, not totally, it wasn't any psycho scene, but, as a teacher, I'm pretty chill normally. But today, I'm using that as an example to illustrate that what I tolerate changes daily. It's different daily depending on how I feel. It really does depend on how I feel.
Is there any triggers?
Triggers to how I feel. Yes. Yeah, the biggest trigger for me would be stress. Like right now, all the teachers at my school are feeling really stressed because we have to do our mid-year reports. And then we've got HSC 6 weeks after that. And we've got a whole pile of kids lining up at our door every day, freaking out, sir, I haven't done this, sir, I haven't done that, sir, I'm going to get banned too. Anxious off their brains, anxious off their trees. And as their teacher, you're sitting there and you can't help but absorb some of that. So I tend to build up a lot of resilience to that as well. And I get to the point where it's shunk. You're going to be fine. Have you done the reading? You'll be fine. Turn to page 28, you'll be fine. And I get to that point where I sort of lose my humanity in that tolerance of what they're going through. But that's my way of protecting myself. So my tolerance thresholds are constantly fluid and constantly changing. I think I've got a really good bottom line. Today I was really stressed. I had a 5-period day and I had a kid that was pissing me off and I let her have it, right? That's not my norm. That's an outlier event for me. But the trigger was the stress induced by 140 reports to write before next Tuesday. Yeah.
I think that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Trying to think of when I found people who hurt me and don't support me, I have now learned to walk away from it. I have a father who tried to be a father but didn't have the skills at all to be a father, and as we've got older has been pushed me away and disappeared, didn't want to talk to you. And I was always trying to find a way to please him. And now, of course, I just go, well, he has made his decision to be like that. So now I've moved away and I've done my best. It doesn't work and I'm not going to be hurt anymore. So I've walked away from it. And over the years, I've learnt to walk away from people that used me and hurt me, because that's not I don't want to enjoy my life. I don't want to be saddened by other people's issues, if you like.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Fucking mansplaining? Sorry, am I allowed to swear? I was talking to Chris about this the other day. So I've been running a lot, and I was laughing with Chris because his brother once, who is like overweight and never does any exercise, was telling me, and this is just, I'd run 21 Ks in one go, like for hours and hours I'd run. Anyway, so Paul tries to tell me that about the difference between running on a treadmill and running on the road, and you know, I should do this and I should do that, and I was just like, what the fuck are you talking about, Paul? Like, you've clearly, like, just that expectation that he can tell me I should run or not run, when clearly, yeah, that I don't tolerate anymore.
What's the hardest lesson you've learnt from love?
From love? Does it have to be like a romantic relationship?
No, not at all. Just love in general.
It's very hard, actually. Just that, I guess, if you open yourself up totally to be totally open and vulnerable in love, then when it hurts, it just hurts so much more. So I guess it's that old saying of, which I can't remember, something about you can't truly love until, I actually can't remember what it is, but yeah, it's just about, I guess, the harder you love, the harder it hurts.
From my childhood, I was mentally and physically abused, and I always thought myself not good enough for anything, and I used to find people in authority really scary. And I remember reading lots of books, self-help books. There's so many of them out there. And I remember probably when I was about 25, 26, and I'd go look at myself in the mirror and I'd say, "You're beautiful. You are just so wonderful. You're beautiful." And I remember my sister saying to me, "You are so full of yourself." She didn't get where I was coming from. She did not understand that I was trying to, I was teaching myself to love myself. She thought that I was in love with myself.
Yeah.
She just didn't get, a lot of people don't get that. A lot of people were not getting the fact that I tell myself, and you're doing the same, I'm sure, at this stage, that, yeah, I'm beautiful and I'm wonderful, and people either get it, that you're helping yourself, or people think you're in love with yourself. But that just reminded me of that.
What is the hardest lesson you have learnt from love?
From love?
Yes.
Oh my God. Well, the hardest lesson I've learned from love is also the easiest lesson I've learned from love. And that is that true love never ends, has no boundaries. And, you know, I've come to the realisation that the only people you ever actually love unconditionally are your own children. You would die for them. And your own parents, if you've had a great relationship with them, and your own siblings. Blood. That's the real love. Partners, husbands, wives, come and go. But your own mother, your own father, your own children are there forever. And the lesson in that for me is that that's your tribe, and you stick with your tribe, and your tribe sticks with you, and you love each other and protect each other through it all. That's the lesson.
So you've made it to the end of my video. This entire process has really been quite an eye-opener for me. Amy, Jim and Lorraine have each have each taught me, and hopefully you as well, that regardless of where you're at in your life, there's always something magical about finding those little connections in people's stories. All it takes is to listen. And yeah, it really has been quite a privilege to put this video together and to be able to share it.